Hello. Make sure I did this. Good afternoon, good evening, or maybe good morning, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to another edition of Talk to Dr. Tiwa. Today, we're going to be talking about living fully as a physician. And I'm so excited, so giddy about our guest and the conversation we're going to have. For those that are just joining us for the first time, I'm Dr. Tiwa Osunfisan. I'm a practicing psychiatrist and a physician capacity strategist. I help physicians optimize their capacity. I help them protect their most valuable assets by optimizing their capacity so they can live with meaning, clarity, and sustainability. So it's going to be great today because we're honoring physicians. It's the Physicians Month. And you agree with me. At times we don't get the recognition, the applause that we should get with the so many years of training. So this month decided to spotlight a physician that is dear to my heart. She's a teacher, she's a mentor, but we're going to hold off for now. So, welcome. If there's anybody that should be listening right now, you want to send them a reminder to join us right now. So, send the link, tell them, broadcast it. Let us all have fun, especially if you're a physician or if you have a spouse that is a physician. Let them know and let them come right away so we can make it a valuable, juicy conversation. Welcome, Dr. Ona. So glad to have you. So honored to have you. Welcome.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I'm going to, before I even talk about your bio, I want to share with everyone why Dr. Una. So with Dr. Una, I started my journey with Dr. Una was through the podcast, which I'm going to recommend to everybody. If you're a physician, you want to be the best entrepreneur, get it. You want to be the best entrepreneur, get it. So again, I'm going to talk more about her bio soon, but it just started off through the with the podcast and just listening to it. I connected with her. I was wondering, wow, where has she been all my life? And she was just articulate. Just the language. She captured the gap on, okay, you can actually have a life beyond the white coat, beyond the four walls of the hospital. You can live a life fully. You can be satisfied. You can be fulfilled beyond even medicine. So, podcast started that journey, and here we are. She has several other podcasts. She has a company that is committed to doctors. Our heart is for us, and she shares a journey on how she's done it, how she's lived it, how she's done it, and a better outcome, how she came through on the other side. So that's what this conversation is going to be about today, of a doctor that has done it, that has walked our journey, and she's thriving and prospering. So, about Dr. Una, Dr. Nneka Unachukwu, known widely as Dr. Una, is a board certified pediatrician, serial entrepreneur, best selling author, and one of the most recognized voices in physician entrepreneurship. She's the founder and the CEO of Ivy League Pediatrics, a thriving private practice outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and the founder and CEO of EntreMD, a company built to help physicians create profitable businesses on their own terms. Dr. Una graduated from the University of Nigeria College of Medicine and completed a residency in New Jersey. Just 1 year after finishing residency, while pregnant, she made the bold decision to open her own practice. That leap launched a journey that will reshape how thousands of physicians think about their careers and their lives. She self describes as a formerly shy, introverted physician with a severe case of imposter syndrome. Today, she speaks on stages, leads a thriving business community, hosts a top 100 podcast, contributes regularly to Forbes, and has built a media presence reaching physicians in over 72 countries. Whoa, that is amazing. She's written several books. EntreMD Method, it's a bestseller, a step-by-step guide for physicians ready to build profitable businesses and personal brands, covering strategies, sales, marketing, everything you need to know to achieve freedom to practice medicine on your own term. The other great one is Made for More, Volume 1 and 2, a collection of stories from over 40 physicians in the EntreMD Business School who overcame fear and self doubt to build businesses and lives they love. Other books, The Visibility Formula, The Profitable Practice, The Practice Playbook. You need to get all these things. They're on Amazon. Get them. Check today. And of course, if you're watching the replay, we're gonna add, the link to her books. Get them. Anyways, I'm jumping ahead of time. And to connect with her, she's on Instagram, she's on, a podcast, a website. Dr. Ona, welcome. Tell us about you. I've said a lot of credentials. Tell us the lady, the woman behind or without the white coat.
Without the white coat. Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of stuff without outside of the white coat. But I'll say that that I've actually next month I've been married for 20 years. So my wife and I have four kids. And the oldest will be 18 next month. So I'm about to say I'm a mother of an adult child, right? That's very interesting. But I have four of them. My youngest is 10. They're all homeschooled, so that's something that I wanted to do, and we can talk about that later. That's part of the reason I went all in on my business, so I can buy back my time and really design my life the way I want it to be. So I do that. I co-pastor a church with my husband. I mentor people by the thousands, but at my core, I really am a person who is convinced that I'm on the planet for a reason and I have all these potentials for a reason, and is to serve the people I feel called to serve. A big part of that is physicians. And I really expend my life in the pursuit of doing that, right? And so I don't think I'm uniquely different from anyone. Is just that I said yes to what is possible, and I keep chasing after it. So even now, I can't say like 5 years ago I planned that my life would look exactly like this, because not really what it is. It's just in the pursuit of that purpose, I find myself here. So you know, so it's fun. But yeah, that's me. Still an introvert. Still like to be by myself. Love my own company. Just had fun hanging out with myself at Barnes and Nobles for about 2 hours before I came on here. So I just don't let it stop me from doing anything.
Wow, wow. Thank you for sharing. It's so to the introvert listening to us, I'm sure that introvert will probably be like, this is encouraging. She's what? An introvert? How has she done this? How did she overcome that? So thank you for sharing that. So for me, I consider myself maybe 50-50. The last test I did, it said I was 51 introvert. I'm like, are you sure this is correct? Because it felt like it was the other way around. And so it's good that you are not even letting it. We can have all these titles, like you said, but you don't see an obstacle. And one of your favorite statements that you say every time is, you want to die empty. And I love it so much. That inspires me. Just hearing the first time I heard you say it, Dr. Miles Monroe was another person that was passionate about that. So just hearing you say that again, I was like, I'm gonna love this woman just like that, because we are on the same, we have the same vision, and that's what you have shown us, that it is possible, Tiwa. It is really doable. Yes. Would it push you? Of course. Would you have to evolve? Yes. But it is possible. So thank you. And so, with all you've done, how How do you do it? Share that secret with us, please. How do you do it? You homeschool your 4 kids. How? I have 306, and I'm just like, oh Lord, how? So please help
Yeah.
us.
I
How do
think
you?
that that's a great question, right? Because sometimes highlight reels make it seem like things are not within the realm of possibility. And I really want to, say this here that I don't think there's anything that I'm doing that is outside the realm of possibility. I'm actually a very private person. And if you hear me share something, the reason I'm sharing it is for you to see it and then say, huh, if she could do it, then I could do it. The reason I talk about being an introvert is so an introvert can hear my story and say, huh, if they could do it, then I could do it, right? The reason I share, my vulnerabilities on failed projects and stuff is just for everyone to see. I'm really just showcasing this to say, guys, we're so much more capable than we thought. That's literally the reason for that. And so as someone is watching this, like I hope what you get from it is not, oh, she's amazing and unique and some other kind of special. And of course she could do that. It's really so you can see you can do that, right? And so I want to paint a picture of before I started on this journey, right? Like if we talk about, say, my first year as an employed physician, okay? So at this point I was a socially awkward, super shy, introverted introvert. There's no universe where I would be on this call with you, none whatsoever, right? And I was kind of this really smart person who had a one track mind. So I'm going to be a physician, I'm going to be a really amazing physician, I'm going to get a great job, my great job is going to pay me, and I'll live happily ever after. I had blinders on, I couldn't see anything else. The thought of being an entrepreneur never occurred to me. The thought of saying no to the status quo and building what I truly wanted, which, like, homeschooling my kids, that's what that is. That's not something that occurred to me that I could do. And it's very important I say this because somebody may be here thinking, oh, there are all these things and I don't think I could do them. So I think for me, the starting point was saying yes to a different kind of life. And there are a number of yeses I had to say. So after I saw my first patient as an attending, right? Like, so done with residency, got my first big girl job, walked in, saw the patient, I think it was a ringworm or something, got the diagnosis, made out their script, all of that. I was like, now, when I walked out of the room after seeing my first patient, I was thinking it was going to be this experience, but it was very anticlimactic to me. So it was like almost like a feeling of a big letdown, a disappointment, like, okay, so, and then what? And I remember thinking, like, okay, so I've seen this person, I've done this, so I'm going to do this 25 times a day, every day till I'm 70. Like what? How sway? I'm like, there's something wrong with this. And in that moment, I remember saying, this can't be everything. And when I think about it in hindsight, right, you're full speed ahead to become a physician, right? Full speed ahead to become a specialist. And then it's like, boom, you've arrived. I'm like, it
Mhm.
can't be, right? Like, there has to be more, right? So anyway, so in that moment was when I made a decision that I was only going to do this for 10 years. I don't recommend it. I'm just saying this was my thing. I was like, I can only give this 10 years because there must be other things to do in life. like, you know what I mean? Like, if I've arrived and just, like, no, right? And I didn't know what that would look like. It had never crossed my mind to own a private practice. Even at that moment, I wasn't thinking about owning a practice. I was just like, well, this is going to get 10 years and that's it. And so sometimes it's just saying yes to what the next thing could be, even if you're not fully sure, right? And so some months later, a mentor of ours comes and, tells my husband, you guys really need to think about starting your own business. I'm like, well, we don't do stuff like that. I don't know what you're talking about, right? But then I thought about it and I said, well, let's think about it, right? So I just left that thought there. My boss, after I'd worked with him for about 9 months, walks up to me. He's like, here's a 5-year contract. I'm like, 5 years? I'm like, no, ma'am, no, sir. We will not be doing that. Right. And to put it in context, I had been married for 3 years. I just finished a 3-year residency. So 5 years was like two eternities. You know what I mean? And so I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to stay. We're moving and all of that. And so he said to me, start your own practice. I'm like, what's wrong with all these people?
Yes.
Like, who starts to practice like first year out of residency? In case you missed this bump, I'm pregnant. Like, what are you talking about? But the thing is, but I took the thought, I didn't discard the thought, right?
Yes.
And so by the time he said that my mentor said, I was like, huh. So I said, well, maybe I will start a private practice, right? And I will say ignorance is bliss. I didn't know anything, like anything about anything. I didn't have EntreMD to show me the way. And so I started looking at practices. I started looking at the services they offer. I started looking at the reviews, what people liked, what people didn't like, and all of that. So it was just a series of yeses. Like, let's try that. Let's explore that. Let's give that our best shot. And literally, that's how the practice started. Really, the process of exiting the practice, that's how it started. That's how EntreMD started. That's how the EntreMD podcast started. It's really like, right? Like, even with the EntreMD Business School this year, we have done so much work to say, okay, what if we could make seven figures the new floor? Again, that's a crazy thought, right? Like not where we get to. This is not the goal now. This
It's
is
not
like
the ceiling anymore. It's now the floor.
master the algorithm such that everybody can, if they want to, take their business to seven, like as the floor. Is it seven figures a normal conversation? All that, which is crazy. But I
Yeah.
thought about it, played around with it, and somewhere in December, I was like, yeah, why don't we do that? Right. And so then there's the seven figure physician CEO book that we had to do, and then came back to the business school to revamp the entire curriculum, entire onboarding, entire everything to say, how do we structure this such that seven figures can be the new floor? Do you see what I'm saying? It's literally saying yes
Yeah.
and going with what is in front of you now. And of course, this requires nonstop evolution, but we
Yes.
embrace nonstop evolution to become physicians.
Yes.
So if anybody has a track record of being able to pull this off, we do. We have evidence. We've done it before,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, I hope somebody can get a feel for. It's not about being unique and having unique opportunities. All of that is you're going to constantly get these nudges. Like, why don't you try this? Why don't you think about this? Why don't you embrace this? The more you say yes to that, the more magical your life becomes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. 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 Like if we were to stop here, I think you've given us a lot of value already of do not be afraid to say yes. Pretty much. Do not be afraid. Be curious. I mean, we're being taught, we're in medicine out of curiosity. We didn't know what we're going to get completely. I mean, I don't know if we knew it was going to be like 12, 15 years. I'm not sure we counted all the cost. I'm not sure. But we said yes. And that's how we got here. All our yeses, just one yes each day. And that's really what you're saying.
Yeah.
Can we continue to say yes, even beyond, so that we just don't wake up one morning like, was that all? I like when you're like, Auntie Clara's like, okay, is this really what the 12 years of my life? This dissatisfaction. And I'm learning that dissatisfaction is a gift.
Yes.
And you must be comfortable with it. Just run with it. It's fine. It's a gift. And so thank you for sharing that of, yeah, why not? I mean, why not? And then we'll just continue. So,
And to be clear, you can do that afraid.
yeah.
Because sometimes people wait for the fear to go. Fear, like, I'm 47, right? There has never been a time in my life where there's not something to be afraid of. It has never happened. So for me to think it will go away, I mean, like, come on, I have experience to show that this is not going anywhere, right? And so you can feel the fear and still say yes. I think for me, this was probably 7 or 8 years ago. I came to this conclusion. Like, fear is always here.
Yeah.
So me wanting it to go away is not realistic. What I need to do instead is redefine my relationship with fear. And so before, fear meant, ooh, like, this might be bad, stop. So my interpretation of fear was stop. If there's something you want to do and you feel fear, stop. But I was like, but if I stop, that means I'm staying in my comfort zone, and there's no growth to be had in a comfort zone. There's no transformation. At best, you can have like itty bitty changes, but there's nothing great happening in the comfort zone. So I then changed the definition to mean that fear means I'm at the edge of my comfort zone. I'm
Hmm.
about to step outside my comfort zone where all great things happen.
Ooh.
So it's no longer stop. It's like, ooh, right? Like, that's the new that's the new definition.
That is a great one. Yes.
It's a new definition. And then fear is no longer a driver, right? Like, since
Yes.
you won't shut up, stay there in the passenger seat, have your fit, do whatever you got to do. But the person who has their hands on the steering wheel is me. You don't get to vote. You don't get to drive. You don't get to direct. You don't get to do any of that. So you want to stay there? Since I haven't figured out how to get rid of you, that's fine. Just stay there. But you cannot drive and you cannot make me stop. Yeah.
Wow, Dr. Ona. Wow, 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 wow. You see that I got the right person, right? And so if I hope you're listening. If you're still like, maybe send this to somebody else that should be listening right now, because your life cannot be the same. You have to rethink something after this conversation. Whether it's to continue what you've been doing, but you should be rethinking, you should be dreaming, you should be reimagining. Was this really what you signed up for? Like after 12, 15 years, just the status quo, is that it? Or was it meant to lead to something else? When you were younger, you want to be a doctor. Okay, to do what? Save lives, yes. This way, just hospital setting, is that all? And if that's all, that's fine. But do you want more? Or even in the four walls of hospital, is there a different way? One thing I like with the podcast, Dr. Una, was while you do, the profitable practice, you also cover some of us that are not in private practice, where you're
Yeah.
like, you can also still be the best entrepreneur, like value, your brand. Who are you? So at the end of the day, you are growing. So you're not letting anything really stop you. After all, I keep the growth.
Mhm.
And wherever I get to go, I can go. So thank you, Dr. Una. And then I'm going to tell everybody, Dr. Una does this when you're listening to a YouTube, whatever, and she's telling you, do something audacious, do something bold today. And I'm like, and you can tell, like, she's talking about fear, because I'm going to say maybe she's mastered a connection with fear. She doesn't let it hijack her, like, huh? It cannot be done. And she'll just tell you, do something bold today. Yes, be afraid. And guess what? One of that was this. The result of why we're here today. And I'm like, I'm just going to reach out to Dr. Una. And guess what? I got a yes. So really, you never know. Even though you're afraid, you just never know. So thank you, Dr. Una, for telling us how to redefine our relationship with fear. So I'm going to ask this other question of, you opened your own private practice just a year after residency. You were pregnant at that time. How was that for you? Were there times you were just like, uh, is this the right idea? Should I go back? Were you tempted to be like, hello, boss, scratch that. Let me that 3-year contract or 5. Can I make it 3? Did you at some point be like, no, I changed my mind. Maybe the time, yeah, was, walk us through that journey of, I mean, you were pregnant. I would not have advised anybody to start anything new. I'd be like, stay with structure, with what you know, with stability. So please walk us through that journey. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because this was over 15 years ago, right? And I didn't have the EntreMD podcast. I didn't I didn't know any of the things that I know now. When I started the practice, there was a huge part of it that was flat out ignorance, right? Like I was under the assumption that I'm a good pediatrician. I have great bedside manners. My patients love me, and so I'm going to hang the shingle and they will come. Unfortunately, that's still what many doctors believe today, right? So I'm going to hang the shingle, I'm going to practice good medicine, and the money will follow. All this foolish stuff that we pick, I don't even know where we got them from. And so, and being pregnant maybe would have even been better. At this point, I'd had the baby. Okay. So at this point, the baby was 4 months old. So I want you to imagine a 2-year-old, a 4-month-old, and a practice with a doctor who didn't know what she was doing. So, so I hung the shingle, and to my shock, they didn't come. Right now, where my practice was over an hour away from where I had worked, so I wasn't taking any patients from there or anything. And so I had magical thinking, like many people have, like, they're just gonna come. They didn't come. And it's around that time it dawned on me that I was gonna have to do other things, like marketing, like selling, like leading a team, all these things. And I was like, First of all, marketing and selling, I'm a professional. We don't do stuff like that.
We
That's for
don't.
used car salesmen. We
We
don't do that,
don't.
right? And then this socially awkward introverted introvert was going to hire people. So, so first of all, I was the whole team. I answered the phone. I checked the patients in. I saw the patients. I gave their shots afterwards. I sent the claims to the insurance company. I scheduled their follow up appointment. I did everything because that's how little my thinking was. I was not a physician CEO. I was a physician. The CEO entrepreneur part was completely missing. And so I was like, who want to follow me? Who want to follow me in this practice where I don't know what I'm doing? Right. And they can come see that this doctor is thoroughly confused. And I mean, it was crazy. And when I came to that conclusion that I had to market and sell, I was like, oh, okay. And I felt like a deer caught in headlights. If I could have reversed my lease, the
Yes.
contracts I signed and everything, I would have walked away from that practice. I was just a little too deep in, right? And so my husband's like, well, till you get all the patients you want, your job is to get all the patients you want. I'm like, that's easy for you to say, Mr. Extrovert. He's an introvert, but I was like, that's easy for you to say, right? And then the turning point for me was then when I read a book by Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog, which if you've not read it, you just need to read that book. And it says, he said, all business skills are learnable. If you see somebody who's running a business that looks better than your business, it's not because they're better than you, it's because they know things and they're doing things that you don't know, you're not doing. That was such a free moment for me because I was like, okay, hang on. I may not know how to market. I may not know how to sell. I may not know how to hire. I may not know how to fire. I may not know how to build a company. I may look at profit and loss statements and break out in hives. However, if there's anything I learned as a physician, I learned how to learn.
That's it.
that right there, I know how to do that. And
Mhm.
I have an incredible work ethic because there's no way to be a physician without one. So I said, I know how to learn and I know how to work. And so what I need to do is I need to learn to market, learn to sell, learn to hire, learn to fire. Apparently, all of these things are skills. It's not like a personality type. It's not
Yep.
something somebody's born with. It's not something someone's lucky to have. Like they're all skills. The same way I know how to run, run pals. The same way I know how to do all of these things. I can learn them all as algorithms and start doing them. So that was then the turning point for me, right? Where I started learning, how do you market a practice? How do you build a referral base? How do you sell? Sell is not a dirty word. It's not a cuss word. It's a good word if you want to have a thriving business. And I started learning all of those things. And then one by one, things started changing for me. Right now, remember, it doesn't mean the fear goes away. Fear is there with you for the journey, but now you know what to do to change your own trajectory, where your business is not happening to you. You're defining what you want to see, and then you're doing that. So yeah, when I started, I didn't even know enough to be concerned about my business, because if I looked at what I was doing, I was like, girl, you're not, this business is not going to go past a year. Like now I can see it. Then I didn't even know what I didn't know. But it was some scary times.
Wow. Again, that was really courageous of you. Like, seriously. And then with your husband, he must have, well, I guess he just believed in you at that time. Like, hey, you had to just pull it off because did he ever tell you like maybe you should go get that contract or something?
No, no, going back was never
And
an option.
okay.
Like
Okay.
that's kind of when I say I burned the bridge, I don't mean with my boss. It's just like that is we have to figure it out. Kind of like a dog to a bone. We'll figure it out. But I was terrified enough that I was like, man,
I better
we
figure it
shouldn't
out.
sign this lease. you know?
I bet the only option you had was to figure it out. It seemed like
It's to figure it out, but there's also a scenario where you don't even know how to figure it out. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
didn't even know where to start from. I would literally go pull up my computer and Google like physician entrepreneur. I'm like, where are these people? Like I didn't even know who to ask questions. There are no books to read, right? Like you read books and they're talking about stuff. I'm like, yeah, that would make sense for somebody else. It doesn't make sense for me as a physician. And yeah, and that's part of the reason I talk nonstop about it, because this is the way I put it. A physician has never run a successful business ever, because we're not trained to do that.
No, not at all.
It
No.
takes a physician entrepreneur to do it. We have to understand that is a separate role and separate training is required. And some people say, well, not just do good medicine. It doesn't work that way. And if it does, if there is any crisis whatsoever, you will not have what it takes to thrive, right? Like, so if there's a pandemic, and you were just like, oh yeah, we're getting by, you're not going to get by in a pandemic.
No.
If the hospital comes and puts a private practice by yours, you're not going to get by. We just practice good medicine. No, like, so any number of events can just make your business extinct, and it's not just private practice, whatever your business is. And so, as physicians, when we get out, whether we work a job or we're a coach or we do events or we're podcasters or we have a private practice, whatever, once we get out, the next best gift we can give ourselves is that transition from physician to physician entrepreneur, right? So you talked about people who work jobs, right? We have a doc in the EntreMD business school who is an employed physician, loves her employed physician. That's all she wants to do. But she is treating it like her business, because because for me, every physician is an entrepreneur. Your business may just be accidental or you curated it, but everybody is. You as a brand, you're an entrepreneur, right? And people know that. Recruiters know that. They know that if they leverage your brand, they could make hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions. So when they send all those nice emails like, oh, if you know somebody, this job would be good for, forward it to them. They know your network is $1 million network. The question is, do you know your network is $1 million network? You know what I mean? They know. So anyway, this doc, she negotiates, and she's like, oh, people are burned out and have all this stuff. She negotiates for coaches for every physician, every nurse practitioner, every PA in her hospital.
Wow.
So they get coaching. She negotiates for a scribe because she's like, this is the volume I'm seeing. If you give me a scribe, I can see this volume better for your bottom line. She's having conversations like,
Wow.
right? She's employed. So they give her a scribe, and then she negotiates for 12 weeks off. 12, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I need to
And they
smoke
give it
what
to
I
her.
need to smoke what she's smoking. I need
She's
to.
smoking the EntreMD business school woman,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And she does this, and she gets paid the most that year than she's ever been paid. Why? Because she's not, I'm an employed physician. She's an entrepreneur. Do you see what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so making that transition is what gives us the freedom we're looking for, the autonomy we're looking for, the value. Like, she's having conversations with CMO, CFO, all these people, right? As an employed physician, like, she's not
Yes.
devalued in the
No.
workplace.
Yeah, she's
You know what I'm
valued.
saying?
Yeah.
And so the time freedom, the financial freedom, the value, getting rid of burnout, all of that is all tied to adding entrepreneur, adding CEO to what we already have. So when we graduate, we're able to take great care of physicians. When we become entrepreneurs, we're able to take great care of our lives.
Hmm.
So we need both. Yeah.
That is deep. That's critical.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 I caught that. I hope you did. Those listening to us, I hope you caught what I caught. So you being a doctor is great, but you have to learn more,
Mhm.
evolve to really be the CEO of your life, pretty much, of the kind of life you want to have, whether it's in practice, whether even where you practice right now, but how to be valuable. Sometimes, Dr. Anna, this is a great conversation because at times we're fighting at the hospital to be valued, to be seen. Like, see me, appreciate what I bring to the table. But at times, most times we don't get that. And so what you're talking about, this doctor that is doing it, this is really this is a great example of it can be done.
Yes.
And you really don't have to start something. You have to evolve first in your mind. See yourself as that better version of you where you are contributing, you're making impact, you're adding value, and you are being respected for that. That is profound. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Una. That is profound. Um, I'm going to ask about what is the so several doctors that you've seen. I know we've spoken about one of the mindset block. And that's really what you're saying of we first must evolve here. Is a mental thing, is a mental shift, is a mindset shift first. And then, as you always tell us, even with there's a 20% journal that she wrote. She didn't talk about it, but that's a good one. And even another book of, I'm blocking on the title. Is it be more? There's be more, there's dream
Do
more,
more, have
do
more.
more, have more. Yes. And first, she talks about you must see it here before you can lay hold of it. You
Hmm.
can't lay hold of what you have not first seen. And
Yeah.
it just feels like we must see it here that I'm beyond just the way people see me. And that's very important. What are the other mindset blocks or other blocks that you've seen so that other doctors that are listening to us are like, maybe. What are the other things? Because you've seen so many physicians and you can probably smell it. You can smell what they're dealing with from afar. Like, I was there, I hear you, I got you. So what are the other blocks that we
So
need to be aware of?
so the biggest one is that, this is not possible for me. So I'm stuck in essence. This is where I am and this is the way it is. And even when we think about things getting better, it's like marginally better. It's not like radically different, right?
Yeah.
And and each of these ones, it's like they're like onions, like it's layers and layers and layers. So you don't actually outgrow dealing with them. You
Mm.
just deal with them at higher and higher levels, hopefully, right? Like, so you're not at the same level. So if we look at the part of I'm stuck, the fix that we use for that is seeing as many examples as possible of people who got unstuck. So part of me sharing my story over and over again and different aspects of it is you're like, huh, interesting. It starts making you think maybe. And
Yes,
that's what
yes,
we want,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do that. Now on my podcast, at events, in my books and all that, I tell a lot of my client stories, right? Because when you see, okay, so for instance, we had a doc who came for one of my events and then says, oh, Dr. Una, I was thinking about, starting a practice in a few months. Do I join the EntreMD Business School now? Or do I join it later? And I'm like, well, starting a business does not make you an entrepreneur. Becoming an entrepreneur makes you an entrepreneur. So waiting till you start, what does that have to do with anything? Like,
Mm,
because that would
mm.
just be a doctor who opened a practice as opposed to an entrepreneur who opened a practice. And
Correct.
so I said, so you join now and you start working on yourself and you start working on what we call the business before the business. Okay. So this doctor, said yes again. So the nudge, and she said yes. So she joined the business school. She started her practice a few months later, but she started her practice with 350 people on her wait list and 16 patients on day one.
Oh my.
Okay. She just celebrated 5 years in practice. She's now running a multi-million dollar practice. Okay. So now people have watched her journey. And so it makes you go like, okay, she was not that special. And when I say that, I don't mean as a person. Like, of course, as a human, she's special and she's priceless. But she's like, she had doubts, and I heard her talking about her doubts. She had challenges that she did, as I heard her talking about. And now she's running a multi-million dollar practice, taking off more time than she's ever taken before. And like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now that's one story, but we have hundreds of these stories. And so
Yeah.
every time you hear the story, what it's doing is attacking that mindset of I'm stuck, because it's like, no, like I'm
Yeah.
not different from these people. You know what I mean? And so hearing the stories over and over and over again, and what it does is it damages that way of thinking. Okay.
That's
The third is being in community with these people, because the gift of community is you see the trials and the triumphs. You don't see a highlight reel.
hmm
You watch them in real time saying, oh my goodness, I'm so frustrated with XYZ and all this stuff. And you watch them on the other side thriving. So it normalizes being stuck. It normalizes challenges and all, but it lets you know, and you come out of them. Right
That's
after every valley is a mountain and another valley and a mountain. And, like that's what happens.
yeah.
And so when you put yourself around this, then it deals with that and you start thinking less and less that way. Right.
That's great.
So that's one piece is, oh, I'm stuck. Oh, I'm not a business person, right?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
not I'm not a
that's most
business
of
person,
us. Yes, we
right?
went
I'm
to
not a
medical
business.
school and we were never taught that.
Yeah. But this is the thing when you think about it. if you want to call it out, well, you were not a doctor before you became a doctor.
True that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so when we say,
Yes.
well, I'm not a business person, then become one. Like, right? I'm not a doctor, become one. That's what you did. You said, I'm not a doctor, you became one, right? And it required you to get an education in it. It required you to be around other doctors. It required you to do uncomfortable things.
Yes.
Nobody was comfortable doing their first IV, first intubation, first,
Yeah.
like nobody.
Yes.
But we did it uncomfortable, we did it messy, we did it scared until we became great at doing it.
True. Very
Same
true.
difference. It's just different education and different scary stuff, right? And so that whole concept of I'm not an entrepreneur, then become one. Become,
EntreMD.
just,
That's it.
just become one. Like, this is not a thing. The mindset of if I'm doing it right, I
Yes.
shouldn't have any challenges.
Yes.
Challenges are a way of life. This,
Perfection.
I mean, it's just a way of life. There's never, like, if you think about it, Dr. Tiwa, you've been you're alive long enough. There has never been a year you didn't have challenges.
I
I
wish.
could probably say there's never been a day that you didn't have. You know what I'm saying? It is part of it. And again, this is why I love community. So in the beginning, right, people are like, oh, doctor, and I don't want to do the business school. I want to do one-on-one coaching with you. I'm like, trust me, it will take you a few years to get it. You do
I've
not want.
always wondered though, like with the one-on-one coaching, but I know you would not have been able to scale. There's
No, no,
no
no.
way.
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
even that, right? Because I could have had a boutique thing and charged a whole lot of money and had a few clients. Maybe it would have been even easier time-wise for me, right?
True.
But this is the thing. We are surrounded by the narrative that physicians can't thrive in business, physicians don't know what they're doing, physicians are one-trick ponies, they should stay in their lane. Everybody in private practice complaining that private practice is dead and all of that. Like, you cannot thrive in that environment.
Correct. Yes.
We become our environment, right? So imagine someone doing one-on-one coaching with me. They come and we map out all these things, we do everything. They spend an hour with me a week.
Yeah.
And they spend 2 hours, 3 hours every day around this level of negativity. It
Oh,
doesn't matter what I do in the hour, it will be
you are
choked out,
so right. You are so right.
right?
Yeah.
Now, for the people who work with me, what ends up happening is, yes, we can have our live sessions once a week, but then community with people. So you come in there, you're like, I decided to take my business to 1 million. Everybody's like, yeah, let's go. You come in and you're like, man, I need to do this. You know, like, I'm trying to host this event. I only have 20 people registered, and people come out. When I did my event, this is how I got, 200 people. When I did mine, this is how I did this. Like, so you're around people who are not naysayers. Like,
Yeah.
no naysayers.
That is so good.
And people who can lend their expertise and their experience and their connections and all of these things. And with that, you can grow so much, you can go so much further faster.
That is so
Do,
good.
do, do you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so,
Yeah. You're
so
not alone. You're not doing
you're
it
not
alone.
alone. You're not
You're
doing it alone.
learning, you're growing,
Yes.
the growth is fast tracked.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference right there. And so when you're in that kind of community, because with our people, they're so generous, it's trials and triumphs, right? They're not just sharing their wins, they share their struggles. And you see somebody struggling, and you're like, wait, and they just did this win. So it normalizes challenges. Like, yeah, you're having issues in your business, and what about it? That's you and everybody else. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so that whole thing of it shouldn't be challenging, it is. And so there are mindsets like that. There's the mindset of business is a buffet. I posted about this on Facebook, I think yesterday or so. I'm like, business is not a buffet. You don't get to say, oh, I'll serve the people, but I will not have marketing, I will not have sales. I don't like profit and loss statements.
Even
Like,
though I wish we could do that. I wish we could select.
yeah, no, you cannot. These are not electives. This is
No,
the core.
it's not an elective. Yes, it's not an elective rotation.
Elective.
It's a core one.
It's a
Yes.
core one. And so that mindset is so dangerous, right? Because what I've seen so many physicians, and I feel for them when they say this because I know the pain that's about to follow it, right? So I started private practice, but I really just want to take care of patients. I don't want anything to do with marketing. I'm like, you don't get to pick. Like, I want to have a baby, but I don't believe in arms. Babies coming with arms. Like, you don't get to pick. And so what that does is it leads to businesses going, and physician owned businesses. No, I don't think any more so than any other, any other kind of people, but they go out of business like no man's business. And a
Hmm.
lot of it is because decisions have been made. Like, I will do this, I will not do that. And even when I come to terms with it, right? Like, okay, finally I decide, oh, I have to promote my business, then I'm going to pay some marketing company. I don't want to be involved in it at
Mhm,
all, which
mhm.
marketing companies love that, right? Because they charge you top dollar. You
Yes.
cannot even tell if they're doing a good job or not because you don't know anything about marketing. So they
Yeah.
just send you nice glossy papers to say, oh, this is what is happening with your marketing. You can't interpret it to say
And
this
they
is
get
trash.
paid regardless whether
Yes.
your
Yeah.
events what yeah, they get paid.
It's
Yeah.
just trash they sent you. It's just pretty trash, and you don't know, right? But but the people I've seen thrive, because I've had the pleasure of working with hundreds and hundreds, like closely hundreds of physician entrepreneurs. When you see the ones who thrive, they're like, what does the dream cost? And
Hmm.
whatever it costs, they do it.
Wow.
So I have to evolve, they do it. I have to invest in myself so I can grow and learn to become an entrepreneur, they do it. I must market, they're like, that's scary, but I guess that's what I have to do. They do it. I must hire. Oh my goodness, but what will my payroll look like? They do it. So what does the dream cost? They understand this thought. The dream costs what it costs.
That's it.
Right? So
Hmm.
if I go to a Gucci store, which you know me, I don't shop, so I don't go to Gucci stores. But if I went to a Gucci store, right, or I went to a Louis Vuitton store and I wanted some red bottoms, right, I don't say, "Ooh, look at those shoes, I like them. They're $4,000. I want them, but I don't want to pay."
Yeah.
Right? In
Yeah.
real life, that's called shoplifting. If you try to leave with them without paying, it's called shoplifting, and you're in danger of being clothed in orange. Okay, but we do that
Yes.
with our dreams. This is the dream business I want. This is what it costs. I don't want to pay it. Then we try to take the dream out the store.
Hmm.
The dream
Yes.
costs what
Yes.
it costs.
Mm.
End of story. And so if
Whoa.
you if you want to do it, you ask the question, what does this cost? It's like doctors, this is what we did. What does
Yeah.
this cost? $250,000 in school loans and a decade of your life.
Yes.
You don't
Yes.
say, I want to be a doctor, but I don't want to do that. You are going to do that.
Yeah. Or don't go to medical
Or
school.
don't go to medical school.
Yeah.
But for
Yeah.
some reason, entrepreneurship, we're just like, no, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I'm not going to market. I'm not going to sell.
I'm not,
I'm
I'm
not
not
going to
cut out for
change.
that. I'm not cut out for
I'm
that.
not cut out for that. I'm shy. I'm introvert, and I'm not going to change. I'm going to say exactly the way I am, and oh yeah, and I'm going to serve few people, and because I want them to this to be very affordable, I'll charge them a little bit of money, and I'm going to have
Yes.
a big
Yes.
business.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
no, that's not how this works.
Oh my God, you've nailed the realities that we're dealing with, our mindsets because of the conditioning
I
that
mean,
we've
guess how I know?
because you didn't see exactly. Which is why this is so profound because you see it. You can see us struggling, running around in that rabbit hole, and you're just like, when you're tired, let me know. I'll be here. I get you. So, and I think this is one of the reasons, maybe I'm curious. At what point did you decide? Just so you know, if you're listening to us, was he a post 2 days ago when I think I saw that on Instagram when Dr. Now was just like they tell us we should mind our business, we should stay in our lane. And Dr. No that no, we're not staying in our lane. We can't.
We're
And
taking
it's
over the
just
whole highway. That's what we're gonna do.
and it's just commendable. It's just amazing. Because it's just like, no, we're not the type that would take a no. You don't get to decide or determine our boundaries. No, we're coming and we're coming for all of it. And so it's so beautiful that even speaking with you, this is just who you are too, where you're like, why not? You
I
don't
mean,
have to be special.
let me tell you why I think that way. I think, and I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I don't bother myself with things like that. But I think it's interesting, like unbelievably interesting, that somebody was able to convince a million people. There are a million physicians, right? A million people who are the most trained people. We have the greatest expertise, greatest stories, greatest experiences, greatest work ethic, sacrifice the most to
Yes.
serve people. And somehow we've been convinced that we're handicapped, we're victims, we're not deserving, we should stay in our lane, we should be quiet.
Yeah.
And it worked. I have no like I've never stopped to trace it to say, how did this happen? Because it makes zero sense to me.
Hmm.
Like the people who would tell us stay in your lane have less education than us, have less buy-in than us, less commitment than us, did not take out the kind of loans we took out, and did not take as long to go to school as we did, do not have the expertise we do. And it's not about comparing, it's not about us saying we're better than anybody, but how did they get all of us to shut up?
Yeah. They don't
How
have the
did they get
understanding, but but yes.
like how in the world? And so I'm like, we need to wake up.
We really do.
We need to
Yeah.
wake up. Nobody is coming to save us, right? You hear
Yeah.
me say this,
Yeah.
like the
Yes.
Calvary is not coming. It is here. It is us. Like if you're wondering where the Calvary is, look at you, look at me. We're the Calvary, right?
Our Prince Charming is not coming.
No, nobody is going to give us permission to become who we know we can be. We're the ones at some point who wake up and say enough is enough.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to do it for us. Nobody's coming. And if we can just start saying yes to us, yes to what we want to build, yes to the careers we want to have, yes to the lives we want to live, because we can have it all.
Yeah.
We can. And I mean, we spent over a decade sacrificing time, money, effort, our youth, everything. Like we live in a world where when you sow a seed, you get a harvest. We live in a world when you invest, you get a return on investment, right? We live in a world where when you have delayed gratification, there's something at the end. We're
Yeah.
all about you have invested and invested and invested. It is
Yes.
time for your ROI, and this is how you get it.
Correct.
Right? Like it,
Correct.
it's time for the ROI. And
Correct.
so if you look at the way medicine is for doctors, it's an eternal sacrifice. It
It
never ends.
is. It
And
is.
nobody is going to say, you know what? You've invested enough. It's time for an ROI. Nobody's
Nobody,
going.
nobody told us.
We're the ones who are going to say that.
Yeah.
We're going to say it's ROI time. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody told us what it was. Yeah, like you said, it's almost like it's long term. It's everlasting. It's we have to just continue. But I love what you said about we need to speak up. We need to advocate for ourselves. Nobody's coming.
Seriously.
Nobody is going to be like, oh, Tiwa, based on your sacrifice, so this is what I think. No,
Nah.
I have to, if there are no rooms, I have to make a room.
Yeah.
If there's no seat, I have to bring my seat.
Yeah.
If they are not talking about me, I have to bring a value that will make you talk about me.
Hmm.
And we just need to reframe how we see medicine. We need to rethink, like I said before, almost reimagine, dream again.
Yes.
Because several of us, we've stopped dreaming.
Yeah.
We're
No.
now dealing with daily imposter syndrome, daily doubts, you know, perfection. Can I do this? We make one mistake and we're like, I can never be right again. Just what the system, or we're waiting for the system. But I like what you said, where we're not saying the system is perfect, but that we really need to stop waiting for the
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
to recognize, to acknowledge, to do whatever we think they should be doing that they are not doing. It's time for us to rise and really make room, make space. And that's also one of the reasons that I have an event next Saturday where I'm talking about the physician capacity, where we're talking about burnout. And I'm going to probably let you, even after this, maybe talk about, especially the people that come, the doctors, I'm guessing you track their burnout because, like, I'm just burned out. And that's where, for me, I think once you just tell me I'm burned out, I really don't know where else to go with you, which is the reason for the framework where we can't just allow it to shut down conversations.
Mhm.
Burnout just shut down conversations because you're just like, me too. And then we just go and then we feel helpless. That helplessness is one of the reasons, the inspiration for that framework. That on Saturday, March 28th, if you're able to join us. The link will be, it will be put in that, in this caption. But join us March 28th at noon. It will be great. It's not a time, it's not a boring lecture. It's not going to be about a boring lecture. It's not a CME. You can chat during it. You can be there, have your video off, off, whatever. But come listen to how you can reframe, how you can dream again, how you can maybe have it fully. Maybe with all I've learned from Dr. Una, maybe, just come. But we really have to take our lives back. And so I'm going to let you talk about burnout, Dr. Una, as our last question. That the people coming, okay, no, I have two questions.
Go for it.
One, why EntreMD, even though I feel like that name is so apt? It just, you hear it, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to Google it, EntreMD as who, too. So that's one. But the other one is if there's somebody listening to us that is like, I'm really burned out now, you know, and is there hope? Cynical, skeptical, I'm all the, can I really bounce back? And those coming to Entre MD, are they living fully? Or is it just, again, I just have to make this money, because of the business school? Is it all about money? So tell us about those.
So I lead with money because it is a taboo conversation in medicine. So let's just get that out the way, right? But if you look at our tagline, what we do is we help doctors build profitable 7 and 8 figure businesses so they have the freedom
Hmm.
to live life and practice medicine on their terms. So entrepreneurship is not an end. Entrepreneurship is a means to an end. What
Okay.
is the end? It's a dream business that funds your dream life,
Wow.
right? So it's freedom. Freedom is what we're after. And so I'll give you a few examples. So there's a doctor in the EntreMD Business School. She came in as an employed physician, just knew there must be more, didn't know what more was. Okay. And then eventually, after being in the school for about a year and a half, she decided she wanted to start her own practice, which is a cash based surgical practice in the Bay Area, which even her mentors told her that's crazy. Don't do that. Hence the community, right? That we talked about earlier. She came to an event and I was talking to, $1 million mindset, $1 million this. She was like, that's good for Dr. Una. I have no clue what she's talking about. She clearly cannot be talking to me, but I'm here. So let me learn the things and let me do them anyway. Last year, she took her practice to 1 million and she took 8 weeks off. So does that sound like burnout to you?
No.
Right? So she took it to 1 million and she took it to 8 weeks.
Oh,
Why? Because we're building the dream business and the dream life concurrently. It's not about sacrificing your life. Nobody will even tell you what kind of business because it's what do I want to do, which solves half of burnout, by the way. What is it that I truly want to do? How do I build a business system around it? How do I monetize that in a way that doesn't cost me my time? Right? Okay, so that's for that doctor. I already told you about the other doctor who did 12 weeks off. So clearly,
yeah.
okay. There's another doctor who came into the business school, and she's like, the problem is I don't have time. That's why I'm not
Yes.
joining. And
Most
I'm
of
like,
us.
yeah,
Most of
yeah.
us.
And I said, if you don't have time, that's the reason you join, because the first thing we'll show you is how to get your time back. Okay. So we did a time audit of her stuff. Hers was so unique and interesting because she already had people offering to help her, but like a good physician, she was saying no, right? Like, I can help you pick your kid from here. No, I could don't because we don't want to bother people. We want to do the people
Yeah.
duty. We don't want to
Yeah.
take from people, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
We took the resources she already had and a few strategies, and she bought back 10 hours a week. Yes, 10 hours a week, right?
I want that. That's what I'm like,
See,
wow.
does that sound like so she's building her business, and I mean she makes more than she's ever made, right? And she buys her time back. So that's her. And then we have another doc who joined the business school, and in 2.5 months was she 2.5 months? No, in 30 days, she had 2x her revenue. So she made her entire investment back. She was working another locum job to make up for what she wasn't making in her business. She was able to give up that locum job, and she was able to take more vacation time than she's ever taken. So I know it sounds like, how is that possible? These are
Yeah,
all
it's like
arguments.
it's
We're
like
on
a
our
dream. It's
podcast.
like this dream.
No, but the thing is this, right? Like, the part of the reason, especially as physician entrepreneurs, why we get burned out is we, one, don't know how to use time, right? Because if you think about it, the turning point for me in my life as an entrepreneur when it came to time was when, I got back from work. Maybe you don't do this, but I used to do that, where I get back, I sit in my car, like, I need a minute before I
I
walk into
do
the
that
house, right?
all
Okay.
the time before I transition
Yeah,
as a
I
mom.
said I need a minute. So I'm sitting in the car, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, my team is driving me nuts. I had less than 10 employees. My business is a small business. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so stressed out, all of that. So when I'm done transitioning in the car, I go in, my husband's watching a basketball game. So for recreational companionship, I watch the basketball game with him. And here's Mark Cuban, who at the time, like, he's on Shark Tank. So, I follow him. He has his net worth is about 3 billion, and he has 150 companies. He just has a t-shirt on. He's just chill watching the game. So I'm like, okay, I have one company with less than 10 employees. He has 15 times more companies than I have
And
employees.
it didn't look troubled.
And he's chill. I'm like, so clearly the problem is not that I don't have time. The problem is how I'm using the time.
Correct.
Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the issue is, how are we using the time, and not knowing what the strategic activities are. So we fill our time with all these things that don't matter. But the
Yeah.
person who understands the strategy can have two or three things on there and produces 10 times the result of the person who has 40 things on there. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
so if we don't have time, it doesn't mean we don't have time. We're alive. We have 24 hours every single day. So of course we have time. But the thing is, who is using the time?
Correct.
It's always who is using the time. So it is not, and when we like, I don't have enough time to do everything, it's not an indication you don't have time. It's an indication you haven't mastered how to use time. You have a gift you don't know how to use.
Yes. Hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge part of what we do. So our doctors, yes, are they going to have times where times are more intense than others? Yes. But are they actively working towards
They're being productive.
where they have more and more time? Yes. Yes. So I wish I could remember the numbers off the top of my head, but more, I think it was 86% of the people in the school took more than 2 weeks off. 74 took at least 4 weeks off. And a good 30% took more than a month, more than 2 months off. It's some crazy, like, I looked at it, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, yeah, yeah. So it's about mastery of time, which is, how do I use it, and what are the things that make the difference, and what is trash, so I can stop spending my time doing trash.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
As you
most
say,
of
what will make me is it 10x? It was 7x, but I
80,
think it's 10x. 10x is what you've been teaching us lately or something. How that time, how can you just be so productive?
yes, 20/80 rule. Like, the 20% that needs to be done, the
Mhm.
80% that's really just trash, we need to throw it away. Yeah. Yeah. So that's that's kind of how that works. As far as EntreMD, you were asking about the name, how we came up with the name.
Yes.
Yeah.
What made you? I think the last is more so. At what point was it after you had then done private practice 5 years, 10 years, and you're like, you know what? I'm not finding anything. I'm starting this.
Oh,
So
no, no.
at what
That's
point, and then the name?
yeah, that's not the way that happened at all. I'd like to say that, no. So by the time I had run my practice for, this was our 6th year now. It was we were I mean, we were on cruise control. It was so good. I had a doctor who only wanted to work 1 day a week. So I hired her. She worked every Friday. So I had a long weekend every weekend, right? And the practice was thriving. We'd crossed 1 million in revenue, all this stuff. So it was just great. And so one day, it's a nudge. It goes back to the nudge. So
Mm.
one day I'm in my study, minding my business. I do my whole morning routine, prayer, meditation, all of those things. And it just hit me. And I wasn't thinking about it, right? It, that medicine as we know it is gone. And if
Yes.
all you know how to do is lay hands on patients, you're going to be fresh out of luck. This is 2016. This was 10 years ago. And
Wow.
I remember going like, okay. I was like, oh, so I could have ignored the thought, but
Yeah.
I entertained it. And I said, okay, what if I couldn't touch patients? What would I have to do to still have relevance as far as impacting people and still be able to bring you revenue? And
Wow.
so I was like, okay, literally, this is how I thought about it. I was like, okay, well, what if I was this? What if I learned how to show up as the CEO of my practice? So not just somebody who sees patients, but I have such value from a business perspective that I earn as much as a physician. I was like, that's interesting. I was like, I could write books. I mean, people make money writing books. I was like, okay. So I wrote that down, author. I was like, well, I've run a successful private practice. I could teach other people. I didn't even know coaching was a thing. I wrote consulting, right? And so I wrote a number of things like that.
Wow.
But the impression was so strong that I was like, I was not going to ignore it. So I said, okay, so which of these do I need to start chasing down to start working on?
Okay.
And as God will have it, I got something in the mail. I don't actually remember how I got it, but it was a speaker's boot camp. I was like, I said speaking was one of the things that I could do. I was like, let me go for that. Now I
Here
want
it
you to
is.
imagine socially awkward, super shy, introverted, introvert, like speaking, right? Hilarious. So I go for the training and it was phenomenal, right? Like, it was a phenomenal, the framework of speaking, all this stuff. I was like, man, that's amazing. And then after they're like, okay, so you can come, sign up for our program. It's $43,000 for 10 months. I was like, 43,000? Like, what is it, laced with gold? Like, what foolishness is this? Right? But it's the nudge. It's the nudge. So
Hmm.
I was like, okay, well, you were here for this event for 2 days. Has it made a difference? Yes. Are you more comfortable speaking? Yes. Did you actually speak on stage? Yes. So what do you have to lose?
Hmm.
And I'm like, where am I gonna get $43,000 from? Like,
Exactly.
what in the world? So I called my husband, and my husband's like, yeah, let's do it, right?
Wow.
So, signed up for the payment plan, 4,300 a month or whatever. But I will tell you, in those 10 months, I became a completely different person because
Wow.
that's what happens, right? And so the speaking thing, I had it, and funny enough, I used it in the process of practicing it to start a Facebook Live show for my private practice, which made my private practice explode because people were like, oh, yeah, it was called the Legacy Parent Show. Like, oh, Legacy Parent, she's on, let's go see her, whatever. I got so many new patients from that. And so the first thing was that we need to find something else to do. So I hadn't even gotten to EntreMD yet. And I said, okay, well, I want to help entrepreneurs. So let's help entrepreneurs. So I started this company called the Dr. Una Academy, and we're going to just help entrepreneurs. I had my first event. It was amazing. We had like 80 something people in person, they
Good.
paid for it. So they paid attention. It was so good.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, I started having conversations. So all the non-physicians were like, we hear what you're saying, but you don't understand us
Oh,
because you have access to more money, you have a better network, whatever, whatever. I was like, interesting. Then I talked to the doctors who came and they're like, yeah, we heard what you said. It was really good, but clearly not for us because, we're physicians. We don't do stuff like that. I was like,
so you're in between.
I was like, so it dawned on me that I had to pick. And I said, okay, because nobody was listening to me,
Yeah.
right? And I said, okay, the thing with the non-physician is they probably understand that they could start a business. The physician has no clue. The physician is like, that's not, and me understanding because the whole after meditation, the whole medicine as we know it is gone. I walked away. The impression I had is like, it's going to be a bloodbath. Like with what's coming, it's going
Mhm.
to be a bloodbath. Doctors are going to be out of work, which 2016 was hard to imagine that would be possible. Now it's like, yeah, of course, right?
Now, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And so I was like, the people who are going to be in the middle of a bloodbath are the physicians. So I was like, I think the non-physicians can take care of themselves. I think they'll do just fine. Let me go serve the physicians. They're the ones I need to help. And so then it's like, okay, let's 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 start. Now you have to understand that it sounds like I was confident about this, but right? Because it's like, help them with what? Like, because you have an MBA, because you have like what? Like, okay, fine, you have one private practice, but you have one business, and that's what you're going to use to help everybody. Like, who's fooling who? What is wrong with you? And all of that. But that's the thing. I never yet let the fear stop me. So I'm not saying I didn't feel it. I felt it very intimately, but I just didn't let it stop me. And so we called it EntreMD, like entrepreneurial MD. I was like, actually, I probably got the idea from Dave Ramsey, funny enough, because he has Entre Leadership.
Yes,
And
yes.
somewhere subconsciously, like when I think about it in hindsight, I'm like, I think I may just have piggybacked off of him. I don't know. But anyway, so EntreMD. And then we had our first meeting in person in Atlanta, where I was casting vision, saying this is what it's about. And with all the marketing skills I had in this universe at the time, I got 6 doctors and 3 medical students to come. Okay, there's 9 people. All right, so we had them, and I was like, had this little meeting. I still have the pictures, days of little beginnings, and we started with that. Then I started doing one-on-one coaching. So I did that. So we started September of 2018. That was when we had our first meeting. Did the
Wow.
one-on-one coaching, and then 2019, I did my first group program. Did my first EntreMD live, which is a whole other story. That would be a whole other episode. And then in 2020, here comes the nudge again. Like, you're doing this stuff and you're helping people and they're getting results. But will you take care of the physicians? There's a million of them.
Yeah.
Clearly, the way you're doing it, you're not going to get to them. Will you do it? And I was like, no, I will not. Because there's a million of them. Okay. No,
Yes.
and I fought with that for a little bit. But the yes to that is what became the EntreMD Business School.
Wow.
So that was June of 2020, in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Like, it's
became the
time to have
EntreMD School.
easily you could have said, hell no.
This is not the
Not
right
right now.
time.
Yeah, like this is not the right. Who does this with COVID? Who
Yeah,
even like what's gonna happen afterwards?
yeah,
Like you rightly said, this is what we're seeing now and who we're seeing right now is a sum total of the many yeses.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So, and I was
Wow.
so ashamed when I started the business school, because, okay, hang on. Harvard has a business school. Emory has a business school. Dr.
Oh,
Una has a business school. Like,
got you.
right? You don't have an MBA. You don't have credentials. You don't, like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
Oh,
What in the world? So when people say imposter syndrome, I'm like, you don't even understand.
oh
It's like,
wow.
just don't let it stop you. So I
Oh,
still showed up. Because again, the heart of it is, if I can help 100,000 physicians, if I can just help them, the stories will be so significant that every physician will be forced to change, because you
correct.
will see that, oh, hang on. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
No, no,
Do you see what
no.
I'm like?
Yeah, yeah.
You
You're
cannot.
changed forever. That's it.
Yeah. So you just walk in and you're like, huh. So it's like, if I can change enough people who other people can see, then the narrative for everybody will change. And there's no way to do it except to go big and do it. Help the people you're helping get the biggest results you can help them get. And it's not biggest to compare, to say my business is bigger than your business. Is in alignment with the life you want to build, right? Like, so everybody's framework is a little different, you know. So they're building this, that's the whole thing behind making 7 figures the new norm, so that this way, because it's almost like private practices, for instance, struggling and going out of business, that's
Yeah.
the norm, right?
Yes.
And so I was like, what is a way that is just so glaring that you can't ignore it, you can't unsee it? Like, we just make 7 figures in 4, right? And so it's just the yes to the nudges.
Wow.
And we don't have to have it all figured out. We just have to be committed to the goal, and that's what this is. Yeah.
Wow. Maybe you're still gonna write another book about just saying yes. Because this is just phenomenal. Where it's just your curiosity. Yes, you didn't ignore your fears. You didn't ignore your personality, your reality. You didn't ignore that. But you're like why not? Let's find out.
Yeah,
Let's
so,
find out. I
yeah.
mean, what's the worst that happened? It didn't work. Okay. It seemed like you had made peace with, all right, we'll learn and
And
keep
that's the thing. I
learning.
don't know that, and I think this part, a huge part of it, is my faith. I don't actually think what I do will not work.
Hmm.
Now, let
I,
me let
let's
me
let's bring it. I wasn't going to bring that faith, but
Oh, no, no, no.
bring it on.
Let's qualify it here. Now, that doesn't mean I won't have failed projects on the way, but the
Correct.
mission will not fail,
Hmm.
right? So I may do a
Love that.
workshop that kind of
Yeah.
plays out some kind of way, or like that's not what it was supposed to do, but the ultimate mission. So for me, I'm just going to keep going till I win.
Hmm.
So there may be things I do that fall flat.
Yes.
It's not, I don't see it as fatal or terminal, or I don't see it like, for instance, if I did a book launch and it didn't sell as many copies, cry me a river. We'll keep selling. Like, because for me, that's not fatal.
Hmm.
Ultimately, the mission of helping the physicians, rewriting the narrative, all that, that's not going to fail. But I may have failed projects along the way. Does that make sense?
I hear you. What I'm hearing is the goal must be the same. The approach, the strategy may change. But even if the strategy fails, it's not a reflection that the goal is wrong.
And the goal will come to pass
Wow. Wow. Wow.
one
Wow.
way or another.
Wow.
So because of that, I'm not afraid to try things. I mean, I'll throw my weight behind it, and chances are we'll win at it. But if like like for instance, when we did the EntreMD method book, which is the first EntreMD book that we wrote in 2022. The average nonfiction book will sell 250 copies in the first year. But I'm trying to reach 100,000 people. So I was like, I'll do 1,000 copies in the first week. Okay. Which is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, why,
I'm,
why,
I'm
why
I'm
would you
looking
do that?
at you as an author and I'm like, huh?
Like, what? Yeah. Like, why would you do that? Okay. I map out 14 strategies, and I actually did a podcast episode on it. Like, these are the 14 strategies, behind the bestseller launch. So I map out these 14 strategies is full speed ahead the whole first week, selling nonstop, doing all the things. Okay. We ended up with 850. Now, do you think for 1 second I was like, man, we didn't get to 1,000? Like, cry me a whole river. Who cares? Like, it's done. Do you see what I mean? Like, I gave it my best shot.
And that
We ended
was
up at 850. It's amazing. What next? Like, I said, yeah, I just like,
wow.
whatever.
Wow. I feel like you're also explaining a kind of I don't want to say personality, but it kind of I don't want to call it personality because somebody may be like, maybe I can't. A kind of core belief you must have. There must be an anchor
Hmm.
that is unshakable. They are like,
Hmm.
the earth may fail, the mountains may fail, but this remains.
Hmm.
That's it. So, well, I said last question. Maybe I should bring the last question in just because we're here. And I may have some people, some of my doctors that, they believe in faith or they have a particular faith. What would you say is the role or the impact from your own life? If you have an idea, faith and the impact of faith, even in your yeses, even when you were scared, what kept you going?
I think for me is the knowledge that I'm not, um, that I have help outside of myself.
Hmm.
Right, like, so if I come to the end of my rope, it's not the end of the rope. Like, there's more, there's more there. And it's funny, I'll tell you something funny that happened to me. I did a course on the enneagram types, right? And they talked about enneagram sixers, enneagram 6, and they're like, these are the people who have pre-traumatic stress disorder. Like, nothing has gone wrong, But they've already imagined it. They're already having palpitations because of it. They've already imagined the complications of it. I was like, I have never felt so seen in my life, right?
Yes.
Because that's like
And that's
actually
many of us in medical school.
this is actually funny, right? And so, but for each of those, and this was not a faith based. This was actually one of Donald Miller's courses, and so with each one, they'll say, okay, this is the issue with that type, and
Okay.
this is the fix for it. So I was so curious to see what this guy would say. And he got to the sixes, and he says, so for these people, they just have to believe that there's a higher power that has their back.
Whoa.
Like, what? Like, what did you just say?
What?
And so for me, in my faith, I've cultivated a relationship with God where at the end of the day, I will do my best, but it's more than my best that shows up, right? And then there's also this thing, because I believe there is life after here,
Yeah.
and life after here really is based on what we did with what we had like, so in essence, we're here on assignment. And then when
Yes.
we get there, they're like, okay, so let's look at what you did with your assignment, right? And so because of that, I treat today differently. I don't treat it like something that is mine. I treat it like something that I've given stewardship over.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so one of the reasons I think I'm alive is to be part of the solution for what is happening with physicians and consequently healthcare. And every day is something given to me to steward that to further my assignment, right?
Wow.
And so
Wow.
in the scriptures, Jesus made a statement, and I'm sure you know that I love this scripture, right? He said, Father, I glorified you on the earth by completing down to the last detail what you assigned me to do. And that's what I want to be able to say. The assignment you gave me, I finished it. Like, woohoo, right?
Like,
And
oh,
so,
I finished the race. Hmm.
yeah, so it puts me in a position where I can't quit.
You can.
I cannot, because I'm going to answer for this. I'm not afraid kind of,
Yeah.
but it's an opportunity. And I'm going to answer for it. And then two is I have help.
You're not
And
alone.
so there may be times I'm trying or whatever. And I'm like, Lord help. Literally.
911.
Yeah.
SOS.
Yeah. And I can get help for that. And then three, I think it's also, if that's what he wants me to do, then there's a pathway. You see, like, it's not impossible. I may
Yes.
not know the entire pathway,
Just yet.
but it's not impossible because he said to do it. He wouldn't tell me to do something that can't be done. So it's
Right.
an anchor for sure,
Yes.
because
Yes.
I don't have to bear the weight of the final responsibility. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I have
Oh, yeah.
help, so I give it my best human shot, and then he does. I'm like,
Somebody
Lord,
super
like,
extraordinary.
this part is yours. Yeah, it makes it more fun.
Wow. Wow, Dr. Ona. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Hmm. There was something you said that I'm going to keep. In fact, I'm going to be quoting you going forward. It's like, I may have reached the end of my rope, but not the end of the rope.
Mhm.
Woof. Woof, 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 woof. That's powerful. And it requires seeing outside of our box to
Yeah.
be able to recognize that. Because what you just said, so one of my passion is just physician suicide. That
Mm.
bothers me when I hear about
Mhm.
physician suicide. My
Mhm.
week is almost wiped out. Like I may not even know the physician. I'm just like, there are not too many of us.
Yeah.
And one is gone,
Yeah.
but we're also the profession with the highest number of suicide, 400 a year, a whole
Yeah.
class, one
Pre-COVID.
a year,
Pre-COVID.
pre-COVID.
Mhm.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
that just bothers me all the time where, what can I do? Even though I work full time as a psychiatrist, I see the doctors in there, meds, but a lot of them don't want meds. A lot don't even want a record of what they're dealing with. A lot of them won't journal. Like a lot, there's nothing wrong with me. And then even being born in a family of doctors, I've
Mhm.
seen it where you're
Mhm.
just like, something's got to give, guys.
Mm-hmm.
You're not impossible. You're not God because you're a doctor. No, you have. So just hearing you say this and then knowing our limitation and knowing that we have help. And
Mm-hmm.
just so, by the way, if you're listening to me, I'm also going to recommend a group. I'm going to call it group coaching every morning. I'm going to call it that every morning, 6 to 7, 7:05. Your life cannot be the same. It cannot because it's every day, like daily dose. Like this is a reflection of the daily dose that we're here. So I recommend it. We're going to put all of these resources. So if you're just watching, you're catching up with the replay, we're going to put all of that. Join. Get all the resources that she's made available. The podcast, remember I said the podcast? Let me hear a journey I had no idea. And you're just like, there was just this nudge. Listen to her. She's one person you want to listen to. She's in the medical field. She's done it before. You want to learn from her. So I said yes. And this is a function of my yes too. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Because this is what you get when you see Dr. Oda. Seriously. When I saw you in Atlanta, you're just like, she's just down to her. I mean, that's who she is. Off camera, on camera, Dr. Una is Dr. Una. And it's so beautiful to just know that you're not performing, you are thriving, living, and we want that. You inspire us all the time. When you speak, and it's like, wisdom. This is overload, wisdom overload. Get your paper and your pen. I've learned a lot. I'm going to listen to this myself so that I can catch what I may have missed. Thank you so much. And to you out there, before I finally take it away, Dr. Una, if there's one last thing that there's still this doctor that is still wondering, I'm not sure, I'm burned out, or I'm about, how can I hear you, I have options, but I don't know. If there's that one doctor or the spouse of the doctor that is listening to us, Isaiah, I don't know what to do. What will be the last words?
It would be take the next step out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
Just take the step. Like listening to stuff is wonderful, learning things is wonderful. But the biggest transformation starts from just taking the step, doing the action, right? Whatever that next step is for you, just take it. Just take it. And not the comfortable one, the uncomfortable one, right? Because we want to get you outside of your comfort zone. So, Dr. Tio, I'll tell you why I say this. We just concluded an event. We call it the Business Makeover Mastermind. It's for doctors in the EntreMD Business School. And at that event, one of the things we did was this whole process of, think, strategic action, strategic decision, then action. And I didn't want them to come for an event where they have 17 pages of notes and all of that stuff, because who goes home to do 17 pages of notes? I wanted them to walk away with a few clear next steps. Like over the next 90 days, do these 12 things. That's it. But the work is coming up with what those 12 things are. Now, in the group, this was a week ago. In the EntreMD Business School Facebook group, now they've started using the term the BMM effect, like Business Makeover Mastermind, because they're like, oh, this is what I did last week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and high level, high quality activities that you're like, oh my goodness. Like if you keep this up for 90 days, you end up with a brand new business.
Wow.
But they could have heard everything.
Yes.
They could have been so inspired at the event. But the difference maker is the action. And so for everyone listening, the best gift you can give Dr. Tiwa, because she didn't charge anybody to be here, is to then take one critical next step. And tomorrow take another critical next step. And like if you do that, in a matter of a while, you go like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Anybody you see that's further along than you doing all this stuff, and they're not better than you. They are not, there's no physician better than you.
Sure.
There's no physician. Like I'm talking, you may be like, ooh, Dr. Una is amazing. I've said this many times. I'm saying I'm not better than you. But one thing is that I will get the nudge I will decide, I will act. If you're looking for what the superpower is, that's what it is. And so you've gotten some information, you make a decision, you act, and you keep the cycle going and going and going. And after 30 days, you go like, huh, 60 days, interesting. 90 days, people start asking you what's going on. You would have become unrecognizable to them. So take the next step. That's what you need to do.
Wow, Dr. Una. I don't have nothing else to add to that. You've heard it, you've seen it, and there is a proof. One of the reasons I wanted to really talk to her today was I'm still on my own. She's the future version, so it's doable. She's done it. She's done the work. She's doing the work, and she didn't stop there. She's teaching us, helping others, so that we can have that life too. So you've heard all of this. Listen to this again. And if you're just, if this is replay for you, listen as many times as you need and take the next step. With that, Dr. Una, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. And to everyone, see you next time. Same station. Bye.